Alright, so my new air cooler and case have now come in the mail. So now I can do a case swap and swap out the CPU coolers and get rid of all the water cooling. So let's get started. Oh wow, this thing's pretty heavy. Alright, so let's unbox this case. Here's the acrylic panel. It's a shame it's not tempered glass, but it's a pretty cheap case for what you get, considering it is thermal take, so they're not the most high quality brand in the world. It's not like I'm buying a $1,000 Lee & Lee case or what's the other company that's really expensive? Oh, I always forget. But yeah, it's only like a $200 Canadian case, so it's pretty cheap considering. Here is the actual case itself, or slab of metal. It's pretty heavy. It doesn't come with USB Type-C, which is a shame. I really wanted my new case to have USB Type-C, but there are so few cases that currently have it that it's not really an option practically. Wow, this is pretty heavy for just a tiny piece of metal. It's almost heavier than like a full case. So let's get the back panel off here. Drop these thumb screws everywhere. I'm not retaining thumb screws, by the way. This isn't an NZXT case either, so that's kind of sucks. So the back panel should just slide off. It's got a little bit of wobble to it. It's not a crazy stiff. It's got a fan filter for where the radiators go. It's not very fine, so it's not going to catch most of the fine dust, but it'll catch the big stuff. Alright, inside of here, you can see the innards. So we have all the front panel connectors. Over here, USB 3.0, USB 2.0, audio. Front panel connectors is something that I did not have on my old case, so that'll be a nice thing to have again. A piece of styrofoam. I'm not entirely sure what this is. Just a piece of styrofoam inside a bag. Let's see what it is. It is literally a piece of styrofoam that was inside a plastic bag. Alright. Sure. Why not? Alright, let's get to tearing this thing apart. Whew, are these fans ever dusty? Yeah, it's pretty gross. These are Phobia, that's what they're called. Phobia NBE loop fans, the transparent red versions. As you can tell, I was kind of a fan of transparent red. As I said in the last episode, this is a NZXT 5 1/4 inch bay fan controller that I took the mounting bracket off and just mounted it to this acrylic plate in the top. I might carry this over to the next case. I don't know. I kind of like the idea of having a nice flush mounted fan controller. It does randomly beep every once in a while. I'm not entirely sure why. It's kind of annoying. But I could just like desolder the speaker and fix that. It does have like a temperature sensor warning, but I'm not currently using any of the temperature sensors. So as you can see, once you take the mounting bracket off of this thing, it's pretty slim. The only thing that really sticks out is the heat sinks on these, what I assume to be voltage controllers. So it's a lot easier to mount once you take that off. You can just hot glue it or screw it into quite a few places. So this is the little LED control board that I bought from Frozen CPU. It basically just takes a Molex and converts it to all these little pins. There we go. Alright, so that is the case all disassembled. Time to get this out of here and start building the new case. What's the point of having a CPU cutout if you're going to stick a big ass metal bracket in the way? Good job, Thermal Take. Grade A design. So whichever way I try to mount this back plate, either the thermal armor, quote unquote, basically just the back plate on the motherboard that Asus put on there, either it gets in the way because it's too wide, or this screw at the bottom here gets in the way. I'll try and mount it that way. I think I'll try and mount it this way. I appear to have misplaced my good thermal paste, so I guess we'll use this Be Quiet stuff. Watch. Apparently it was just sitting on top of the case this whole time. What? What? Alright, I appear to be slowly losing my mind. That's always good. So, let's put a bit of thermal paste on this thing. It does say to use those goddamn spacers just on the other side. It's just impossible to read. Oh. Alright, attempt number 2. I've installed exactly as the instructions say. It should just drop on top. And it does. Now we need to thread on these nuts, which will be virtually impossible on the top left hand side of the cooler because of the heatsink for the power components. I'm just going to show you what I'm dealing with here. I'm supposed to get a nut onto that bolt sticking out of there, and there is like no clearance to do anything. So that's virtually impossible. This is going to be fun. Holy shit, that worked. Oh! Alright, that feels pretty solid. I'm just going to roll with that. Whoever designed this hard drive bracket needs to be fired. It is right in front of the 24-pin connector and USB 3.0 hole. So, like, there's only a tiny bit of space you can get it freaking cable through, and there's no way in hell I'm fitting a 24-pin through that hole. So, that's cool. So the case comes with these metal standoffs and nuts that you're supposed to use to screw in the side panel, but there's nothing in between the acrylic and the metal. So I cut out some circles of this adhesive felt pad I had laying around, and stuck that onto the nuts and the standoffs to prevent from scratching the acrylic. So that's the case all put together for now. It looks pretty good in my opinion. I like the black and red. It's a lot less in your face than the case that I had before. Tune in for the next episode where I'll be moving stuff around and doing some case mods to spread out the parts more and make it so not only the half of the case is being used. And I'll also be installing a GTX 1070 in here once I get that in the mail. So that should be coming next week sometime.